Howdy again, everyone. Oh, it's Carpo the Shill Moon Agent Reptilian 719. God, I can't even remember some of those other things. Remember back a while I used to introduce myself for a while there as something like that. I guess I haven't been really, I haven't had too many fun, interesting videos made about my reptilian side in a while. But somebody did make one the other day. It was pretty interesting. I actually didn't watch the whole thing. I got kind of bored. Found the plot kind of boring. Anyhow, I've here I am in front of my camera making a video and forgetting exactly what it was I was going to talk about, but I know it'll come into my head here. Don't mind the vape. You know, back in the old days, if you were sitting and talking to like somebody, you know, like when you'd see the philosopher with this pipe, and I think that was something that helped the philosopher think, this is nothing more than a digital pipe for the 21st century. It's my way of pondering the possibilities. I love thinking. It's just what I do. I never stop thinking about stuff. And I don't feel like my mind is racing. I had one of my subscribers the other day say that he wanted to try something to calm down. I don't remember exactly the details, but he said that his people around him, his friends and his family, tell him that he needs to quiet his mind, or to not, basically, to chill out a little bit, because he's always running around doing stuff. I said, embrace that shit, because that's what I got. I got the same damn problem. I've always been intense, but instead of trying to change it, and trying to be a calm person, ask yourself if it's actually preventing you from enjoying life, I remember, as an example, because I grew up, I was a kid, I was a teenager, I remember what it was like to, wonder what I wanted to be like, or what kind of a person I wanted to be, what will I be like when I'm older, and I remember sitting around, I remember the days when I was 20 thinking, man, 20 more years I'll be 40, and here I am at 40, and I remember just saying, I hope that I'm happy, and I hope that, I've been able to find more truths in life or whatnot, and here I am. But but thinking back to that time, I was thinking today about how skewed our view is of our past, how easy it is to develop these false images of things that went on. Like, I had some rough times in my years, but I didn't really, they fade. I don't think about them. My mind has learned to block out those things, and just to try to remember the good times, but anyway, point being is I was a dumbass, when I was younger. Sometimes everybody would, made stupid decisions and didn't understand what I wanted. And during that time, I never really thought much about myself as being ADD or OCD or anything like that. I mean, those terms weren't even really, if they were thrown around back in the early 90s, they weren't thrown around as heavily as they are today. And if anybody did say anything about that, well, I sure as hell didn't hear about it. So, but today, since I was in school, they've been diagnosing kids right and left with ADD. It's like, oh, take some Ritalin, here, take some amphetamines for your child, and it's completely annihilating any hope of that kid really developing a normal brain if he's taking amphetamines. But we've been treated like there's something fucking wrong with us, and it's really annoying, when you think about it and you really get down to it. I mean, I don't really harp on Pharma a lot because of a couple reasons. It's because, A, they're money-making entities. Of course they're going to promote their products. You're not going to stop that. This is the incentive is what gets people to create. And they get incentive by getting paid big bucks for creating these drugs. And yes, they're to help people, but it's easy for people to put in a block and say, well, we've got to make our money too. And they do, and there's nothing you can do about it. So Big Pharma, if you want to be a sucker to them, and sometimes you need them, then you'll have to pay more, and the people need to make demands that change. But when it comes to natural cures or health issues, people, kind of laugh at it and blow it off. And for me growing up, that's how it was, people blew off herbs as being just, that pseudoscience nonsense, and today it's being taken so much more seriously. Why? And it's funny because the people always blame Big Pharma for hiding everything and the government for covering everything up, when the truth is that the people are just too fucking lazy to go out and do any research on what's going on. I mean, how many people really turn around the box of shit that you're eating and look at the damn ingredients on it and see, what is this? People will get all scared because they'll see something like, ooh, this has pyridoxine hydrochloride in it. It's like, yeah, that's a B vitamin. It's okay. You know, these are... It's or I think cyanobalamin. Those are B6 and B12. I can't remember which one's which, but it's the same thing. You look at the back of a shampoo bottle, you know, sodium lauryl sulfate and all these different compounds, and you find out a lot of them are just neutral compounds. And I guess this leads me into chemicals, because it's like when people talk about chemicals being in things, you know, it's really important to specify by saying carcinogens or toxins, okay, or poisons, rather than, and not even poison. Poison is intended, you know, as a it's more of a verbal type thing where you use it to poison someone. It's an intended poison. Otherwise, it wouldn't really be poison. It'd just be poisonous. But anyhow, to set all that nonsense aside and all the semantics and details about language, which seems to always be an issue, I don't know. I don't know where to go with that. You know, it's I go on and I ramble about different things, and I get into a subject, and then I just drop off and go, fuck it. What's it worth? You know, how can I finish explaining what I'm trying to say? I guess nothing is trivial, is the point, in a way. Everything's important to someone. I abandoned my conspiracy thinking years ago, but when I look back on it, it really wasn't that many years ago. And it was because I was so sick of the type of people that I would run into that were so obsessed with everything that's wrong with this world. It seems like every time there was a discussion about GMOs, it would lead into fluoride, and it would lead into chemtrails, it would lead into just about any subject you can imagine, aliens and whatnot, pleadians. Pleadians are telling us to clean up, and I became very satirical about those things. I would crack jokes, and you know, it's like I pick on the New Age ideas as much as I did religion when I was younger. And I don't do it anymore, but for a while there I was, because I was so frustrated with people who were bullshitters. But then I asked myself, why does it even matter? If they believe it, let them. It's harmless. But I guess now thinking of it psychologically, and from my point of view, it's because I wasted time on it. Not very much time. But for a while there, around 2012, I was really into people like David Icke. Not too much. I always thought he was a little bit loopy, and I didn't get too much into him, and now I despise the guy. I have a video about him where I can't stand the man. But there was also this guy, David Wilcock, and I'm sure a lot of you have probably heard of him. Now, whatever he's spitting today, I don't know. He always looks like he's like starving to death now, but some of his older videos were pretty interesting, and before 2012, I'll tell you, even that 5-6 years ago, there had not been a lot of information published about what's going on with the actual understanding of the Mayan calendar, unless a person had looked into it. I had looked into it for since the decade before that, when I found out about it, and from what I've understood, it was the end of a Baktun, and these are great cycles, and I understood it wasn't the end of time, so my interpretation it was a new beginning or something of the sort. But I didn't really have any preconceived notions about UFOs or aliens or interdimensional entities or angels coming down and taking us away, or even anything really happening on that day. I treated December 21st, 2012 like any other day. I said, here we are, you know, maybe something will happen. But it never did, of course. And then all the people who had made these claims about what was going to happen completely revamped their story. all of a sudden, we're not ascending and going to the Pleiadian cluster then. All of a sudden it was known. Now 2012 was a new beginning. And they'll say things like, oh, well, a shift did happen. Didn't you feel it? Or, oh, it was there. It's just going to take a while to work it out. And I'd say, there was no shift in 2012. If there was ever a shift, it's not something that happens on a human solar day. It's something that happens over a period of time. So if there is a major shift going on in consciousness right now, it's something that's been going on for the last 10, 12,000 years as mankind has been, developing agriculture and, harnessing the power of animals and, ranching and whatnot. So it's always been an interesting concept that we're in some sort of a transition, and it makes me wonder if it's true, if there's really anything to it. If humans are actually gaining our consciousness through some random chance, or if it's something that's actually a dictated or blueprinted or pre-planned series of events. Now, I can't say that I really believe that the universe is creating all of this in order to reach some end, because any universe that was, or God that was omnipotent, would be able to reach any end it wanted before it began. If that makes sense. In other words, you don't have to make time and space in order to get back to yourself. If you're following, I mean, it's kind of deep shit and it's hard to describe, but if a God was there before time and will be there after time, there is no time. It's just irrelevant. It's a creation in order to experience. So you have to ask yourself, when the universe was opened up, what was the point of evolution and creation, if there was one? And if it was by chance, then it doesn't matter. That doesn't answer any questions whatsoever. The idea of evolution versus religion is just melded into one, and it's a ludicrous idea to assert that everything is factually created by this Big Bang out of nothing. Yeah, we can read the math, but we're still trying to understand it. And it's crazy to think that people want to assume that they have all the answers. But that's fine if that makes them comfortable, because science does the same thing as religion does quite often. Astronomers do the same thing. They'll grab onto their beliefs and say, this is what the universe is. This is how big the universe is. Meanwhile, we have Big Bang, the Big Crunch, the Big Ripple, and the multiverse theory, string theory, and they're all just most of them are unprovable. The string theory is completely ludicrous because there's no way to even define how small a string is. I won't even get into that. But my point here being that it becomes irrelevant at a point. You realize that everything really is energy, and that we are energy. And everything around us is based of this vibrating frequencies on different levels. So the ancients did know. Yes, it is based on vibration. Yes, everything is based on frequency. But the New Agers have taken that into their own little pockets and said, okay, well, buy my book and it'll tell you how to raise your vibration, raise your frequency. I still get emails from this transforming into the new paradigm, and they have these webinars where they send you this information about how you can have this. One was a Nile cruise to go get in to learn how to find your true power and your sixth sense here on Earth and your destiny. And it's just a few grand for the cruise. And then they have all these speakers, and I started seeing some of these people like David Wilcock and a whole bunch of others. It's just a bunch of hocus pocus now. It's like I can't take any of the New Agers seriously. I have not found one New Age guru type person that I fully respect and admire in this world. And it depresses me kind of, because I'm like, there was a guy, Ram Dass. I don't know if you've heard of him. He was a friend with Timothy Leary, actually, and they kind of parted ways because Leary was a little extreme, and he was pushing LSD on everyone. Hey, everybody's got to try this, and I disrespect him for that, but I also respect him for trying to open people's minds, because it is an amazing chemical, amazing compound. LSD changed my life, but he pushed it too fast, too soon, and now it's illegal, and it probably would have been anyway. But point being that Ram Dass took a different approach. He realized that psychedelics would only take him to a certain level. And as a quick backstory, Ram Dass, he was into psychedelics, and he found a guru in India, and he basically quit his job at Stanford and became this, this searcher. And he was young, so he went in and he had some LSD one time, and he showed it to his guru, which I can't remember the fellow's name right now. And he took them all and ate them. Point being, it was like, I don't know, 500 micrograms, 1,000 micrograms or something of LSD. And long story short, he felt nothing. And so Ram Dass was so impressed with that, he quit with the hallucinogens for, at least for a while. I'm not sure the details, can't remember. It's been a while. And he fully immersed himself in this culture. Because the man, Maharani or something, Maharaji, I think it was, he knew Ram Dass and why he was there when he first came the first time. Come on, kitty. And he was just blown away. He's like, oh, you were thinking about your mother last night. And he had been thinking about his mom who had died recently. And it started this whole long chain of events. Point being, he was one of the people that I looked up to and respected in years past. But also now I've gotten to the point where I feel like I've excelled beyond that. And I don't mean to sound arrogant, because it's not above or below. It's that I've moved past, I guess, the Buddhist, Zen, Hindu type philosophies. Zen is one I hang on to, though, okay? I'll say that I won't attach to Buddhism. I'm not going to make myself be a vegetarian, okay? I just won't. And Buddhism, by definition, should not be a religion, but groups of Buddhists do tend to have like-minded values. So I'm definitely not a Buddhist. I eat meat. And as for Hindus, they have some very interesting parts of their culture which are very metaphoric, and I can't take them very seriously. They're played in a different way that they understand, and that's fine. Obviously, the main religions, the big three, I want nothing to do with whatsoever. They're so dogmatic and closed-minded that I refuse to partake in those. And I'm not saying that I'm looking for a religion in any way, shape, or form here. I'm just saying that of all the things that I've explored, because I'm so curious, the only thing that I've found was Zen. And Zen is, it's just laughing at life. It means wake up in the morning, stub your toe, and go, ha, that happened. Something as dumb as that. There's no way to explain Zen except for to read Zen a little bit, but you can't even read it because it's unwritable. And that in itself is, I guess, Zen. Zen is poking little jokes at life. And anyone who's taken psychedelics to a point, or some certain extreme psychedelics, they feel like the psychedelics are teasing you, giving you little glimpses and saying, haha, hee hee, you get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but you'll never understand it. And that's kind of what Zen is based on. It's that laughability every day, to wonder, to have coincidences and synchronicities and understand that. So that's one thing that I can believe in. But now people have even used that for their own, let's do a yoga class and be all special and have these certain, okay, before I get too into this, I'm not disrespecting yoga, but American yoga is not what yoga is by definition, okay? There are certain moves that can be very beneficial to the human body. There are magical passes, there are magical gestures, movements, and shapes and body contortions that can bring elated experiences. I've done it. I did yoga for not very long, but the few times that I did in my own home, I was doing Kundalini yoga, which of course is irrelevant to Kundalini, but I was trying. At that point I was into Kundalini, and I'd studied other people talking about Kundalini, and then others saying, why would you want to activate your Kundalini? Most people don't need that or aren't ready for it. Here's what it is. I've come full circle with the realization that my mind and my body, my ecosystem, my biosystem, knows what it needs. And my mind working with my gut, one brain, can tell me if there's something wrong with my body or my mind, because they are one and the same. And I don't need to question whether or not I evolved or whether or not there's a God out there, because I know in my heart what's really important. And that's respect for fellow mankind, respect for the earth, respect for this whole system. Everything is integral. It's as if I feel like there's a web on everything, if that's how I could describe it. That I'm connected to the flower pot in front of me, and through the camera to you. And it doesn't have to sound cheesy or mystical, because it isn't. It's just how things are. There's a web we don't understand, and it's woven through everything. And that's all you need to know that God does love you, if you want to put it that way. But you don't have to put on any particular outfit or walk into any particular church in order to show that respect. Just walk out and be in awe of everything. And that's my opinion. That's my philosophy, my religion, my belief about what it means to be alive. It's to truly experience everything. Don't listen to any one person who's telling you, you need to abandon this, or you need to do that. You know, there are so many people out there telling others, you need to change your diet, you should change this, you should stop doing drugs, or you should start taking this, or you should stop taking this, or you should wear these special grounding bracelets and these bed sheets. You know, they're only a couple $100 and they'll help ground you while you're sleeping. Or you should face north while you're sleeping. You should take goji berries. It doesn't matter. There's all these different things that people have about what has worked for them, and it's all intertwined and intermingled with the power of suggestion, placebo effect, as well as us not knowing which particular thing affects us or is working. You know, you take a medication, you get better. You wonder, is it the medication or did I just get better? That kind of thing. And so that's what I'm saying, is it becomes a question of stop fighting that part of it, because those issues are going to come up consistently in our lives. We'll always have things we're unsure about. This is when going with the gut is so important. And going with the gut is something that now is proven finally. Like I've always said, you know, just go with your gut feeling, but never understood why. And then a few years back I read an article that said, oh, there's neurons in the stomach. Haha, I knew it. And then I find out they're in all our organs, and then I find out, oh, there's a whole neural network in our stomach, in our whole gastrointestinal system. Now I find out that there's something called a vagus nerve that connects our stomach to our brain, and that transports signals, dopamine, serotonin, epinephrine, all created by the bacteria in our gut as well. So can the bacteria be the ones that give us that gut feeling? Why do our stomachs cringe when we know something's wrong? That is an amazing thing that humans are totally neglecting because it's too untestable. But I think I haven't met any humans yet that would say that they don't trust their gut. Okay? And I would ask anybody who's a materialist, who doesn't believe in anything but a fully evolutionary random chance thing, why would you trust your gut? And I guess I'll leave it at that. I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful